Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Rookie Reporters pod. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've spent way too much time scrolling through my feed, desperately wishing for a sports podcast that actually covers everything. I'm talking about a show that dives into the glory of a pitch one week and the chaos of a track the next. Well, stop scrolling because you have finally found it. I'm your host, Annie Michele, and I am beyond excited to start this journey with you. Every single week, I'll be joined by different experts and enthusiasts who live and breathe their specific sport to give us the inside scoop you won't get anywhere else. For our very first episode, we're heading down under because the Australian Open is right around the corner. The heat is rising, the courts are ready, and drama is about to be served. To help me break down the biggest battles and predict who's taking home the trophies, I've got two absolute powerhouses lined up for you guys. Please welcome our first ever guests and the ultimate tennis experts, Charlotte and Gemma. How are you two?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to do this. So, before we serve up our first set of questions, I have to get your receipts and credentials. So, I know you guys absolutely love tennis. You spend all your free time talking about matches, but why is tennis the sport for you? And what do you think makes you a certified expert for the Ricky Reporters pod?
Do you
Gemma,
want
do
to
you want
go?
to go first?
Oh, right. Okay, I'll go. Okay.
Sorry.
I know the awkward first sim question.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, so for me, I'd say I love watching tennis. I feel like that's the obvious one here. We all love it here. I should say I love it for a number of reasons. I love the strategic aspect of the game. I love that every game is a sort of mental battle as much as it's a physical one. You can see the players thinking, adapting, and problem solving in real time, and it's a true testament to the ability of the athletes to be able to combine playing at their best with anticipating the moves of their opponent. I love being able to watch the speed, precision, and athleticism. The level of skill is just unreal, and seeing athletes in their element is always fascinating. And I just love the atmosphere of tennis. I mean, every slam and every court brings something totally different. Wimbledon brings tradition and focuses on historical aspects of the game, whereas the Australian Open brings in spectacle and amazing, just amazing energy. And the idea that a game can make a crowd of hundreds of thousands of people in a stadium go so quiet you could hear a pin drop is a spectacle in itself. And I think for my credentials, don't know what qualifies me as an expert per se. I think I used to play tennis. I used to love playing it when I was younger. Um, did end up stopping. I was not going to be making the cut for the Wimbledon finals anytime soon. But I mean, as you say, I live and breathe tennis. I've probably put in, they always say it takes 10,000 hours to make an expert. I've probably put in my fair share of the 10,000 hours just
Yeah.
watching games in itself. And I hope that I can bring a unique perspective to this conversation. And I hope that my passion will speak for itself when it comes to talking about the big moments and talking about the Australian Open, which is so
Yeah.
exciting.
Charlotte, how about you?
Well, I don't think I'd call myself the biggest expert, but it's definitely been something that I've watched just for so long now, and I've just learned to love it over the years. And I really find the competitive nature of the players, especially leading up to the finals and in the final, it's just so exciting seeing their drive and passion for the sport they love so much. Um, and I think just over the years, watching it and seeing how it evolves and how the whole world is just in love with the sport, it's really inspiring and something that I just love to watch.
Yeah, I love that. And I think everyone has a sort of core memory or match that turned them into a big tennis obsessive. So, do you guys remember yours?
I do certainly. I think the one for me that probably made me sort of, like was sort of a defining moment for me, was Wimbledon 2023. When the final was airing, I was on holiday. I was in Cornwall, and I had sort of, like tuned into the majority of the quarter and the semi-finals matches. Largely because I wasn't dealing with school. I think it always comes at the worst time. I'm back at uni tomorrow, and I'm like, I'm missing
Oh,
I'm missing the start of the Australian Open. So I was really excited in this occasion to be able to see the sort of final play out and be able to watch the whole story. Because I mean, instead of just tuning into the final, and I somehow managed to convince my family to watch it with me. And so just watching it with my family, being on holiday and obviously being able to see Carlos Alcaraz take his maiden Wimbledon victory was just so, so special. But I think I cannot go, I, I can't go talking about tennis without talking about Roland Garros 2024. Such a highlight. I mean, there are no words for how good that match was. I mean, world-class tennis, incredible comeback. It was such a testament to the idea that it's never over until it's over, and a testament to the standard that both Sinner and Alcaraz play at on a regular basis. Like that was just, it was insane. And I'm
Yeah.
so glad that they've put it on YouTube so that I can watch it anytime that I want. So I'd say there's been a few defining moments, but I think they were probably the ones that I would spotlight for this conversation.
Yeah.
I think mine would probably be, obviously I didn't watch it live because it was in 2008, so just watching it back. But Nadal and Federer in Wimbledon, their like epic nearly 5 hour match was just intense and something I really enjoyed watching, and it's something that I'm always going to remember.
Yeah. And we can't talk about the Australian Open without talking about Novak Djokovic, the man who has owned these courts for over a decade. But recently, his armour is kind of looking a little bit thin. He officially withdrew from the Adelaide International, admitting he's just not physically ready to compete. So, Gemma, Charlotte, do you think that he will be able to win his 11th Australian Open this year? And do you think he will ever reclaim his number one ranking?
I think for me, I think Djokovic is a phenomenal player and he's still very much competitive despite having been in the game for so long and also been largely unaffected as it goes by having new talent come in. I mean, I think obviously there's this sort of idea that when you get to a certain point in tennis, younger talent comes in and starts to push away sort of people on the other end of the spectrum. But he's just seems like so unaffected by it. He still regularly makes quarter and semi-finals and is still fighting for places in finals even now. That being said, I don't think he'll win the Australian Open this year. He absolutely could. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's still very much capable, he's still competitive and is still in form. But as you're saying, the standards are just so high now, and I think there's really no room for mistakes. And unfortunately, given how strong I think Sinner and Alcaraz are at this point, it seems like a sure thing having both of them in the final. So Djokovic, I think, is in the unfortunate position where he might be relying on one of them being in poor form for him to come in and be able to make a final and take the win. And I think similarly, given how competitive the top two are, I think we're entering the era where the rivalry between Sinner and Alcaraz will rage on, with them both trying to snatch the world number one title off of each other. And it leaves little room for anyone else. Again, Djokovic, I mean, I don't think I need to say to the people listening that he's an amazing player who can absolutely challenge for finals and challenge for titles. But reclaiming his title at this stage feels a little bit challenging. And I mean, I think he has said, though, his heart set on the 2028 Olympics. And I think given that he's won gold in 2024, I think going for gold in 2028 is well within his reach. Like, I think his experience at the games, I mean, he's won gold before, he can do it again. And it'll really, I think that is what his experience will give him an edge over everyone else in that stage. And it should do as well at the Australian Open. So I do absolutely think that in this tournament, he is going to make it far. I just don't know if a title's maybe a little bit of a stretch at this stage.
Yeah, and what about you, Charlotte? Do you think he can win the Australian Open or become number one again?
I'd have to agree with Gemma. I think it's entirely possible that he could get to the final and he could win. And he did spend over 400 weeks as number one, which is a record in the sport. But the title fight between Sinner and Alcaraz is so high and so intense. I don't think we could see it this year, but definitely in the future.
Yeah, and I think Sinner and Alcaraz, they're really, if you look at the pinnacle of tennis right now, they're who you think of, and they've kind of separated themselves from the rest of the pack. And like you were saying, Gemma, it's almost definite that we will see those two in the final. A lot of the time this year, but especially at the Australian Open. So if they do meet in the final, who is your favourite to win? Gemma, you go first.
I think, I mean, two top players in great form, playing at the highest level and having off court banter as well is basically the recipe for a perfect rivalry. And I think it really is like oil and water, where Alcaraz is, his explosive serves and insane power. Sinner's just clinical with like mechanical precision. And I think that's what makes this rivalry so entertaining and has really captured sort of the attention of viewers worldwide, is they're both phenomenal players, but they're so vastly different. And I think having two players that are exactly the same face off, that's fine. That's very good. It makes for a really interesting final. But having two vastly different athletes trying to outfox each other on a court is just fascinating. It's like watching a chess match. They're both so good and are essentially, I mean, you see last year, they basically took it turnabout. One won one slam, the other one took the other. So when it comes to slams now, it's really about anticipating the other's move and stepping up to the plate every single time. And the mentality required is just major. And I will say that, as you're saying, the gap to third in terms of the level of playing is just massive. Like when both are on form, the final is set. And it makes it easy for us, me and Charlotte, when we cover tennis, because the graphic can be made. Like, we could probably make the
Yeah.
graphic now for the final.
Yeah.
And I think I could tell you right now that Alcaraz is at number one, Sinner's at number two. But after that, I couldn't rattle off the names in order of the top 10 of the ATP rankings. I know that Djokovic will be there. I know that Fritz and Shelton will likely be there. But other than that, it's anyone's game, pretty literally. And I think in any other sport, it'd be so, so boring, having a match set before it starts, but they somehow manage to keep it entertaining. And I think it could literally be anyone's game. So I'm going to say for the Australian Open this year, I'm going to say Carlos Alcaraz. I'm going to put my money. I hope I'm not proven wrong because I'm tend to be a bit off with my predictions. So I hope I don't somehow commentators curse him. But I think, I think he can take it this year.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Charlotte. You might have an opposite opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to differ from your answer. I'm gonna go with Sinner. Like Alcaraz does have that determination and the strength when he plays. However, Sinner does have the previous success at the Open, and I think he'll be coming into this year with that intense confidence and determination to keep his number one title. And I think we could see a really excellent final, but I do think Sinner will take it.
Yeah, and it is it's honestly crazy to see such elite athletes like Novak Djokovic just saying that Sinner and Alcaraz are too good to beat. And the difference in ranking points is it's like a mountain almost. But do you guys have a name in mind that you think could potentially disrupt their winning streak and beat Sinner and Alcaraz?
To be honest, when I was thinking about this, I was like, I don't have a name. I think it's really difficult to predict in sort of the ever-changing environment of tennis. It's so difficult to say, you never know how someone's going to be when they step up to the plate. And I think when you've got players like Novak Djokovic saying they're too good to beat, that brings its own set of pressure.
Yeah.
It's just almost like their reputation does precede them. And I think anyone going up to face them would no doubt be a little bit nervous. But I think more so I've got factors that I think could potentially influence sort of this longevity
Ooh.
that they seem to have. And I think that is younger talent and also injury. I mean, I think injury, obviously major in tennis. I mean, we've seen it specifically this year with a lot of, people pulling out of opens and people pulling out of tournaments. Players have sustained injuries, which to the average person would be totally minor, a sprained ankle, a sprained wrist, but they've just never been able to recover because of the sheer physicality of the sport. I mean, Andy Murray, perfect example, world number one, best player in the world, when he sustained a career-ending injury. And obviously Emma Raducanu, we see this with her as well. She came in, took the tennis world by storm, winning the US Open. But she faced multiple injuries, which could have derailed her immediate sort of meteoric rise to the top. And in a sport as physical as tennis, injuries are just major. They can tank games, can tank careers, and I think there's been minor sort of ailments for both Sinner and Alcaraz, but I think they've had nothing major, and it's vital that if they're going to continue the way they are, that continues. And I think as well, younger talent, it's an unfortunate aspect of such a physical game. I think I sort of alluded to it earlier. The older players just struggle to keep up with the newer, younger players. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what happened with Djokovic. I mean, he's a top player, no doubt about it. But he's at 38 years old, comparatively. He's fairly old compared to sort of Alcaraz and Sinner. And there are exceptions, as there is in anything. Nadal was 38, Federer was 41. But most, I'd say, retire sort of late 20s, early 30s. Talent-wise, it's horrible because you're all still there, but when you're younger, more agile, like fitter talent comes in, you slowly start to just get pushed out to the side.
Mm,
And it isn't an issue for them yet. I mean, they're both like sort of early 20s, so they're at that sort of peak stage of like they're young, but they're also incredibly talented. But maybe one for the future, will they be bested when, you know, a new talent comes in who just they can't keep up with? I mean, are they going to have their own Alcaraz and Sinner?
mm,
Essentially, it's will history repeat itself?
yeah.
It is a tough question, and I think, especially they're at such a high level, I think it would be hard to have anyone come close.
Yeah.
Originally, I did have Djokovic down, but I think with what he's said and also just their intense rivalry, like Sinner and Alcaraz's drive to win, it's going to be hard to have somebody beat them.
Yeah, and if we change up a bit and we have a look at the women's games, we have Arina Sabalenka, Amanda Anisimova, and Iga Swiatek as the top three, with Coco Gauff just behind them. So, is the women's game sort of feeling like a closed shop, or do you think we could see a complete outsider take the trophy like we did with Madison Keys last year?
I mean, I think for me, I think when you look at the women's game over the last however many years, there hasn't really been a single dominant force. There are names, as you're saying, that pop up repeatedly. You've got Arina Sabalenka, you've got Iga Swiatek, and you've got Coco Gauff with names like Vondrousova and Osaka appearing periodically. But there hasn't really been a true sort of dominant force since the Williams sisters. I mean, Serena and Venus, like, there have been no players like them, and I don't think there ever will be, to be honest, which is it's difficult to say, but I mean, they were just, it shows you how much of an impact they have had. Is It was just incredible how they managed to dominate the sport for as long as they did. And they dominated in every sense of the word, becoming such decorated players that actually they were untouchable for
Yeah.
as long. And I think last year, all four slams went to different people. So we don't have that true dominance like we did all those years ago. And I think that controversial, not even controversially, but a kind of sort of countering the sort of closed off aspect you'd mentioned, I think that if anything, the playing field is more open now, allowing for new talent to come in and shake things up. We've seen this with Emma Raducanu in 2021 at the US Open. I mean, she came in and she just took the world of professional tennis by storm. And I'm quite glad for this development, as it makes the game feel a lot more exciting. I mean, I think certainly, as we said, the men's singles, like there's the feeling that the final is decided already before the tournament has even started. And but the women's game is just totally, totally different. And I think, yes, there is the assumption that players like Sabalenka and Swiatek will make it far into the competition. When it comes to the later rounds, like quarter and semi-finals, you're more likely to see these sort of unexpected names pop up like Madison Keys and have new players make appearances. So I think, while there may be expectations, and I think more people's expectations might be a little bit closed off when it comes to certain players making finals, the field is a lot more open now, allowing for younger players or players on debut, unexpected wild cards to come in and just really make some waves. And I think
Yeah.
that's something I'm really excited for in the coming years, is to be able to see that. It's just because I think the emotive aspect, there's nothing quite like seeing someone come in, as a wild card entrant and just making history. I mean, I think that's what everyone hopes for. They hope for an exciting final, and I hope that we can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't think it's closed off as such. Sabalenka will definitely be looking to take the title after losing out last year, but I do think it could be anyone's game, and it really could go down to the final serve, the final match, and we could see potentially somebody new take the title.
Yeah, and I know Gemma, you have mentioned her, but we have to talk about the absolute icon that is Venus Williams. She's just received a wild card, and it's incredible because she's the oldest woman to ever compete in the Australian Open at 45 years old. But it's been 5 years since she last played in Melbourne. So how do you think she'll actually fare against the power of the current top players?
I mean, I think Venus is no stranger to making history. I mean, I think that's something for sure. I mean, this is just another in a long list of achievements for her, being the oldest woman to compete. And I think she's proved herself already to be one of the greats of the sport. I mean, power, athleticism, adaptability, which is the most stand out for me is adaptability. I mean, she was also a phenomenal doubles player. Alongside being an amazing singles player. And I mean, that doesn't always translate. You can be a phenomenal singles player, but be a not like a subpar doubles player because it's a totally different game. But Venus just she excelled, and I mean, insane defense. She probably could have schooled a lot of duos as a solitary player herself. And I think for the Australian Open, I think she's going to come in not as a dark horse per se, because everyone's aware of her talent. I mean, her name immediately you just get flashbacks to the incredible dominance that was there. But she's going to come in as a competitive player. And I mean, I think this isn't just a case, importantly, of bringing in a player that's past their prime to attract viewership. This is putting a complete player in a tournament where there's no real solitary opposition for her. She's still training, she's still competitive, and I think that she can shake things up massively. And I might call it early, but I don't think that it's out with the realm of possibility for her to come in and take the win just completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think obviously she's coming in with the wild card, and there's going to be a lot of focus on her, especially in the media and the fans. And she's not played at Melbourne for a while, but she is coming in with all that experience and all that knowledge of the game, and she's got such a passion for the sport. I think she could take the title.
Yeah, and she has just made so many unforgettable moments and highlights. But do you guys have sort of a favorite moment of hers or just something that is really iconic and sticks in your mind?
I think for me, so hard to pick, but I'd say her first Wimbledon win. I mean, that's a fairly popular opinion, but it was just so amazing to see all her hard work finally pay off. But in general, though, I think I've said I already love watching her play doubles because it's just unbelievable. Like her defense, insane, power, insane, and it's just fascinating to watch. So it's hard to pick a favorite Venus moment as well because she's had such an amazing career.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think looking back to the Olympics in 2000, she won the gold in both the singles and the doubles, and I think that just shows her incredible drive and her confidence in the sport. And it's just something that's so iconic and it will always be remembered.
Yeah, and the Australian Open has always been a trailblazer for inclusion, and it was actually the very first Grand Slam to officially introduce wheelchair tennis back in 2002. So for 2026, visibility is at an all-time high, which is absolutely amazing, and we're seeing wheelchair athletes playing on the same courts and under the same lights as single stars. So how important do you guys think visibility is in tennis, especially at such a high level?
I mean, I think so important. I think that when it comes to professional tennis and professional sports in general, it's vital for people to be able to see themselves in professional athletes. I mean, representation, so important because it means that people can see a future for themselves in a sport and not feel that they're being held back. I mean, having divisions such as wheelchair tennis is so important for inclusivity and for especially younger people as well. I mean, having role models that they can see themselves in playing professionally goes a long way, allowing them to feel like, oh, I can do that. And I think it's incredibly important for like us as sort of tennis fans to say, keep investing in these sports, keep marketing and broadcasting them, and keep pushing for more so that we can make the sport as a whole a lot more inclusive.
Yeah, I'd agree with Gemma. The Opens are the pinnacle of the sport, and Australia is the season opener. So I think having that visibility on such a high level is really important, and it's critical for all the younger players and the fans that are looking up to these athletes and thinking, wow, they're really incredible. They're playing at just this high level, and it's something they can look up to.
Yeah. And taking a bit of a step away from current players and having a little look at history, one of the best parts of the Australian Open is seeing legends return to the court. So if you two could sort of reach into a time machine and pull out any two players, past or present, who would you pick to face off in an amazing legends match?
I mean, I'll keep it short. I think it's so difficult to pick two, but I'd probably say Nadal and Federer. Iconic on and off the court. I'd just love to see them back playing again and being able
Yeah.
to watch it instead of just having to go into the archives to watch the matches.
Yeah, that's actually my answer as well. I'd love to see another match with their rivalry and just their like intense gameplay would
Yeah,
be
I think
incredible.
we definitely all wanna see them
Yeah.
back and see their sort of like very heated rivalry continue. Now, before we get into our final predictions, I have to give a quick shout out to something I know a lot of people have been waiting for. If you've been keeping an eye on our socials, you'll know that our newest batch of the Rookie Reporters bookmarks is almost here. These are dropping on January the 12th at 6 p.m. GMT, and I'm just obsessed with the collection. We've gone all out with the football and the Formula themes this time. So, whether you're sort of tracking the standings on the field or watching stars in the paddock, these are definitely for you. What makes them so special is that they're all handmade, and every single penny we make goes directly towards funding the Rookie Reporters. It's sort of our way of helping the next generation of sports journalists get their foot in the door. So, Charlotte, Gemma, I know you guys have sort of been eyeing up this collection. So, if you had to describe your favorite bookmark from this drop in one word, what would it be?
I'm going to go very, very vague and just say red.
Ooh, red.
Ooh, that is vague. I'd go with detailed.
Ooh, red and detailed. I love it. So, everyone, mark your calendars, January 12th, 6 p.m. GMT, because you don't want to miss out. And now we've broken down all of the drama and we've sort of gone into a lot of detail, but now it's time for you two to be very bold. And we're doing a sort of a lightning round for the big Australian Open events. So I'm going to name a category, and Gemma, Charlotte, I want you to very quickly name your winner. No overthinking. You guys ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
men's singles,
Carlos Alcaraz.
Yannick Sinner.
men's doubles,
Henry Patton and Harry Heliovara.
Yeah, Henry and Harry.
women's singles,
Venus Williams.
Arena Sabalenka.
women's doubles.
Katerina Sinakova and Taylor Townsend.
Funnily enough, same as Gemma.
I love. So that brings us to the end of our first ever The Rookie Reporters Pod episode. Charlotte and Gemma, thank you so, so much for joining me. It was amazing to chat with you both and hear your expert insights on everything tennis. And of course, we have to say a massive thank you to the Rookie Reporters team for all their hard work in helping create this incredible podcast. Before you guys go, head over to therookiereporters.com, buy your bookmark, read some articles, support the show, and don't forget to follow us on socials at The Rookie Reporters. I'm your host, Annie Michele. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!
Get your bookmarks at therookiereporters.com.